Good morning, everybody. I'm going to take you along on a what I eat in a day video today, which I have not done for a while. And here we are having a little bit of a porch chat. They've been fewer and farther between recently because it's dark, in the morning for a lot longer now, and it's not as warm as it was over the summer, clearly. And so I've been still trying to get out and see the sunrise, but it's usually a lot quicker because it is cold and I want to get back inside and just, not where I want to sit and have a long chat. But it is not actually that cold this morning. I got all bundled up and came out here and I was like, oh, it's not bad at all. And yeah, it's beautiful. So it's about 8 a.m. right now. I had my morning snack that I try to have within 30 minutes of waking up, and that was 2 ounces of dates, and I had my coffee with that. So that's what I've had so far this morning. Before I ate that, I did take my fasting blood sugar. I will put it up on the screen. It was 82, so everything's going well in that department. I will attempt to do blood sugar pricks after my meals today. Sometimes life gets busy and I don't always get them all in, but I attempt to do a 1 hour post meal and a 2 hour post meal. And one reason that I like to do that is because there is an idea, especially in the keto carnivore world, that you cannot eat carbs without it spiking your blood sugar beyond a healthy range. And I believe this for a long time. I believed it about myself for a long time, and I really did not understand how people could eat a high carb meal and have healthy blood sugar, because in my experience, anytime I ate a high carb meal and tested my blood sugar, it was spiked up out of a healthy range. And I was like, okay, that's just how I am. My blood sugar is dysregulated. I need to double down and work harder on my keto and carnivore diet. There was something in the back of my mind that was like, maybe that'll fix it, but I don't really see people on keto and carnivore diets doing it long enough and then going back to carbs and it being fixed. So it was kind of like one of those things that I didn't really think about too deeply. But if I had, I would have, had a lot more questions. Anyways, I kind of had this idea that I probably was just broken and that my body just didn't handle carbs like other people's bodies. And then also, maybe other people didn't handle them well either, and they were just spiking their blood sugar all the time, and oh, poor them. After my experience with transitioning my diet from low carb, high fat to high carb, low fat, my whole world and understanding around blood sugar has changed. And I now realize that the way that my body was handling carbs back when I was a lot lower carb was directly related to that lower carb diet that I was eating. So it wasn't just that my body was a certain way. What I was eating was causing my body to be a certain way. And after I transitioned, and it was a transition, it took a good amount of time. I didn't just immediately jump into adding carbs and everything was rosy and perfect. There was a time where my blood sugar was higher, but I did find that the key for me was to lower my fat intake. And I learned that the high fat intake was actually causing, for me, the insulin resistance. And that's because my cells were busy using the fat that I was eating in my diet. And so when the glucose came, when the insulin brought the glucose, my body or my cells were like, hey, we already are busy with this fat here. It's taken a lot of work. We can't take the glucose right now. And so the insulin, my cells were resistant to insulin because of the fat. And once I lowered my fat intake, my cells seem to take up insulin and glucose very, very quickly. And because of that, I believe that my body is producing less insulin, because when you're insulin sensitive and the cells hear the message of insulin, your body doesn't just keep pushing out insulin in order to take care of the glucose in the blood. My body very, very quickly, the insulin takes the glucose from my blood and gives it to the cells, and I have energy. And the way that I have the idea that this is happening, obviously I don't have an insulin monitor, but the way that I have the idea that this is happening is because when I eat a large amount of carbohydrates in a meal with a lower fat intake, And by lower fat intake, I mean, you know, around 10 grams per meal or something like that. 1 hour post meal, my blood sugar is well below like 140, very well below 180. And then by 2 hours, it's typically back to somewhere in my fasting range. And so that shows me that my body is very efficiently taking the carbohydrates that I eat, delivering them to my cells. My cells are uptaking them very easily because they are very insulin sensitive, and my blood sugar is back down to normal very quickly. So back when I was eating a much higher fat diet and lower carb diet, I found that anytime I would deviate from that lower carb diet and have any kind of carbs, my blood sugar would spike really high. My body was not prepared. My cells were not insulin sensitive because they were so busy with the fat that I was intaking. And I found myself in a state of insulin resistance. And I was able to reverse that by going lower fat, going higher carb, and healing my gut. There was all kinds of other things that I did in there. So anyways, I feel like I had to leave keto in order to truly get insulin sensitivity back. And that's where I'm at right now. And it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. I have been at this for a year and a half at least now of adding carbs, and I did it slowly. And it definitely is a transition to get out of that mode that your body is in that keto or carnivore diet. But for me, it has been totally worth it. So anyways, I will bring you along on the meals I eat today, and I love showing my blood sugar with the meals. I think I went on this whole like rabbit trail about insulin and blood sugar because I was trying to say, I love to be able to show my blood sugar response to these meals that have a very high amount of carbohydrates in them, sometimes as high as like 100 grams of carbohydrates from things like fruit, white rice, dried fruit juice, all kinds of things like that. And I see my blood sugar typically not go up very high at all at the 1 hour and at the 2 hour mark. And there are people that don't believe that that is physically possible. I've heard carnivore and keto people say that you just can't. It is impossible to eat a high carb diet and keep your glucose in a good range. You can't keep a good glucose variability. They will say it's impossible. So one thing that I love to do is to share my blood sugar and kind of dispel that myth. And this is just an N=1. This is just me. I'm not saying that if anyone else eats these foods that they will have the exact same results as me, obviously. But I wanted to show with my N=1 that it is possible for me to keep my blood sugar in a good range while eating a ridiculous amount of carbohydrates. All right, so I will show you when I have a more substantial breakfast. I do try to have that little snack first thing in the morning, but I'm not usually ready for a big meal. So it's just a snack, and then I have kind of a more substantial breakfast. A little bit later on, I am going on a walk with some friends here in about an hour in the neighborhood. And so we'll get some more outside time. It's not raining on us. It'll be so nice. And so I'm going to do that. I'm not sure if I will eat before that or after that. It kind of just depends on how I feel. And I will just bring you along on the day. I do want to say a big thank you to Element, who is sponsoring today's video. I have changed a ton about my diet, and one thing that I have not changed is my daily element. I do find that with the higher carbohydrate intake that I do need less electrolytes. I think my body is doing a better job of hanging on to electrolytes and not just flushing them right through. But I still do have at least one stick pack of Element per day. It helps me feel hydrated. It tastes delicious. I really enjoy it, especially when I'm working out. I had my workout class last night. It was a very difficult workout with a lot of sweat, and I was chugging my Element throughout that. So I use it every single day. If you want to try it out to see if it's right for you, you can get a free sample pack just by using my link, drinkelement.com/indigo, drinklmnt.com/indigo. If you click that link and go over to the website and place an order for anything, you will automatically get that free 8-stick sample pack added to your order. And I did want to mention that Element has a no questions asked money back guarantee. So if you order and you find out it's not right for you or something disagrees with you, you can contact them and they will give you your money back, and you won't even have to send back the product. So they have excellent customer service. Definitely worth a try to see if it is right for you. Thanks again to Element for sponsoring today. It's been about 1 hour since I had my dates and my coffee. I'm not ready to eat a whole breakfast before I go on my walk, but I did want a little bit of something to fuel me for my walk. So I am heating up some hot apple cider with some mulling spices, and I am going to sip on that. For my cider, I'm using my adorable new Yeti from Equip. They just went through a major rebrand where they changed their packaging and their logo, and they sent me this adorable Yeti that I love so much. And it's going to be perfect for my hot apple cider. So I've got 16 ounces of spiced cider. Just got back from our walk. I got about 7,000 steps, so off to a good start there. And I'm definitely hungry now, so I'm going to go in and make myself some breakfast. Yeah, let's see what's going on with the kids. All right, here's my breakfast. I have steel cut oats in here. They are the sprouted steel cut oats. I've shown them to you before. I've been batch cooking them. I have some spiced pear preserves. I made this from some pears that we picked this summer. So that is one of my favorite things right now. When I run out of it, I'm going to be very, very sad. Next year, I'll have to make double batch. Okay, and then I also have Greek yogurt. I have 8 ounces of the Fage 2% Greek yogurt in here. This is 1 hour after having my steel cut oats with Greek yogurt. And here is 2 hours. It is about 2:45 now, and I am pretty hungry, so I made myself a massive bowl of rice. It's jasmine rice down there, stir-fried veggies, and some beef tenderloin, so pretty lean steak. I topped it with some of this teriyaki sauce, as well as some green onions and sesame seeds. I needed something to drink after my dinner, so I'm going to go ahead and have one of these new tall 12-ounce Element Sparklings. They have these available in some retail stores right now, and I think they're supposed to start selling them online, I think in 2026. So very exciting. This is the black cherry salt. 1 hour after my stir-fry rice and steak. And this is 2 hours after dinner. Okay, I am out and about. Actually, I have a light. Oh, look at that. How pleasant. I'm out and about. I had to drop the kids off at an event, and it is 6:45, and I had my last meal at like 3, finished at like 3:30 or so. So I knew I'd need a little bit more of something before bed. I'm not terribly hungry right now, but I figure I might as well get my snack in because I know I will be hungry right before bed if I don't. And so I'm just about to spend a little while driving home. So I brought some fruit. I brought an apple, big apple, Cameo locally grown apple. And in here I have some figs, some dried figs. So I'm going to munch on those as I drive home, and that'll probably be the last thing I have to eat for the day. I will put my macros, my ending macros here at the end. And if there's anything else exciting that I, realize that I need to share with you before the day is over, I'll be back on to share it.